What's up, guys? Today I'll be doing a review of the XOB Fighting Gear ORI-V bag gloves, so stay tuned.
Uber up the styles like miles and shit, like 60s funky worms with waves and perms, just sending junky rhythms right.
Alright guys, today I got these XOB Fighting Gear ORI-V bag gloves. They are 14 ounce full wraparound Velcro closure. XOB is a company that's fairly new, based out of Montreal, Canada, that makes all kinds of fighting and boxing gear, from headgear, groin protectors, gloves, double end bags, you name it. They have a good amount and good variety of gear you can get. But as you can see, I got these in their metallic blue and gold piping. The metallic on here is, I'd say, is more of like a pearl. It's not like a super shiny metallic, which I actually prefer. And so I do like the way the color looks, and depending on the lighting, you can see it has kind of a reflective nature to it. And the full wraparound Velcro closure is nice, especially if you like that really robust extra protection around your wrist. The sizing of it, I would say, is probably really similar to like the prize ring gloves I did a review on, as well as the Infinitude Harrier gloves. Very similar in that respect, and these gloves are made in Pakistan. So before we do the review, let's see how much these weigh, just to show you. And I believe these are on point. So these are going to be the right side. So these are right at 13.4. And the left glove, see here, make sure it's all around, it's right at 13, so about an ounce off. Not too bad. I mean, again, these are just some training gloves, so I'm not too concerned about the weight. But you can see right there, they're about an ounce off. Nothing too crazy, as most gloves I've ran into or usually are not right on the dot with their weight. But nonetheless, a really nice looking glove. If you have bigger hands, longer fingers, you'll be comfortable in these, because there's a little bit enough space for you to have a little bit more extra flexibility and be able to move your hand in these. They're not loose by any means. They're not tight. They're just made to where you have a good amount of room, regardless of your hand size. Now you can see here, it has a really nice look to it. This metallic blue kind of reminds me of more of like a pearl blue. It's not metallic in the sense where I've had some metallic gloves in the past where you have has more of a shinier, kind of a glittery look to it. With the metallic, this one has more of a pearlized look to it, which I actually prefer. I'm a little bit more of a fan of more simple looking gloves, nothing too flashy. Although I've had some metallic gloves in the past, I kind of tend to veer off to more of the basic looking gloves. And although this is their metallic model, it has more of a pearl look to it depending on how the light hits it, which I actually prefer. Now you can see it does have this nice 4-inch Velcro strap that's a full wraparound. You do have the XOB Fighting Gear logo with the weight logo right here on the inner part of the Velcro strap. You do have that gold piping around the Velcro strap, that's really nice, as well as on the palm side, as well as the thumb. You do have a grip bar, an attached thumb, as well as ventilated holes. And then lastly, on the back of the glove, the XOB Fighting Gear that's screen printed on the leather. I actually like the way that this actual font looks. The logo looks really clean. It doesn't look overdone. Has a really clean look to it, and just looks really nice. Now the quality of the gloves are pretty good. Give you guys a close-up of this. I'm going to open this Velcro strap up. Starting from the bottom of the glove, you can see it have a Velcro strap here at the very end, and then on the inside of the strap, it's lined with almost like this padded neoprene material, which gives a really nice soft touch feel. On the back side, it does have the leather, so you can see it does have the nice leather that's laminated to the actual padded neoprene material that's stitched in here. Then right here along the wrist, you do have about a 1/4 inch of padding that goes along the inner part as well as the exterior of the wrist right here, double stitching. Now this is where the quality kind of, you know, could have been improved in my opinion. Some of the stitching right here, you can see it has some marks right here where they either overstitched it. Some of the stitching could have been done better right here on the piping, underneath where the piping is locked in right there. Some of that stitching is a little bit off, as well as right here you can see just there's some marks where they overstitched on certain parts. Another thing that I also noticed was that the piping also, the stitching on the piping could have been done a little bit more cleaner in my opinion right here as well. You do have kind of a loose piece, and this is actually a part of the piping that has kind of like a little, I don't even know what that is, like a little extra piece of leather that's kind of, that could be clipped off. So again, I mean, it doesn't really affect the performance of the glove per se, but if you're looking at it just from a quality standpoint, you can definitely see that there's these small little issues with the stitching, especially around the piping. The inside liner is this nice smooth, kind of a polyester nylon liner, but it's not the type that bunches up. It's nice and smooth and flat. And the back of the cuff right here has about a 1/2 inch of dense foam that gives you the wrist support on the back of your wrist right there, as well as that little 1/4 inch piece right here along the side. So I definitely like that inner liner. Does a good job of wicking away the moisture. You have this nice flat panel on the back where the Velcro strap goes around. You do have the double stitching. The leather quality is really nice as well. You know, I would say it's right on par up there with the Prize Ring and Infinitudes and Sabas gloves in terms of the way it feels and the thickness of the actual leather. I didn't find any imperfections per se on this leather whatsoever, no bumps or anything like that. When I showed you guys a close-up earlier, there was a little dent on that, and that was from me letting my bag sit, my glove sit in my gym bag. But as you can see there, that the leather's done really nicely, tucked in very nicely along the edges right there. The grip bar is double stitched in as well. The fingertips look really clean, and the thumb as well. Let me just wrap this back up. As well as the thumb, you can see that it looks really good. And then you have the thumb right here is stitched in. Obviously they have the option to go with a split color, but it's all one solid color on this particular model. One thing I kind of wonder is why they would put that stitching there. Maybe they just use that for all of their thumbs, because if you're using one solid color, then I don't think there would be a need for stitching right there. You would just leave this all one piece of leather, just because so that would be like one less area that the stitching could fray. So if they were to leave this as one piece rather than split it, if you're not doing a split color there, that to me would make more sense, but just my opinion. Then there's the thumb, the way it hits the inner part of the index finger. Everything looks pretty clean right there. And then the punching surface you can see here. I've been using these gloves for about 2 weeks now. It's probably been part of my rotation. And you can see that there's really no imperfections there, no bubbles, no dents or anything popping up right there. So it looks pretty good. So overall, the quality of the gloves are really nice. The only areas I would really say that could use some improvement would be the stitching. And as I noticed on both pairs, or should I say both gloves, there is a little bit of imperfections within the stitching which could be improved. Other than that, everything else looks really nice on these gloves. Now the actual comfort of the gloves, when you put these on, you know, that initial feel is what everybody likes. When you buy that new pair of gloves, you put your hand in them, and typically right away you'll usually know, you know, that those are gloves that you can really fall in love with and use at the gym a lot. Sometimes you'll put some gloves on, you're like, man, I don't know, these just feel really awkward. And then you start using them at the gym, and the more and more training you do with them, they either get really good or they get really bad. So with these gloves, you put them on, and right away, they feel good. My hand is in a nice position. They're broken in. You can see that I can open and close my hand with relative ease. The thumb is in a nice position. It doesn't feel awkward. I like this piping right here. It doesn't pinch down on my thumb. The thumb placement is optimal. It doesn't jam at the top. It has enough depth to it to where your thumb is in a nice position. It doesn't feel weird. And then again, with it being broken in, you can see the grip bar is in a nice spot. And my fingers are tucked in, so the depth of the actual finger compartment is perfect as well. And what I mentioned earlier with you guys having different size hands, when I put my hands in here with my hand wraps on, it doesn't feel like my hand is getting suffocated, and it doesn't feel too loose to where I feel like my hand's drawing around every time I throw or land a punch. It feels just right. So if you do have bigger hands, I think these gloves will work really nice for you. The fingertip has a piece of neoprene on the fingertip to give you that little extra grip that you want. So the grip bar, fingertip placement, and thumb placement is really good as well. And the other big feature that I like about these gloves, and which is the reason why I got my Infinitude Harriers like that, is because of this 4-inch Velcro strap. I like the oversized strap. Granted, it takes a little bit longer to put on because you kind of got to wrap it around. But again, that's just more of a convenience thing. But I like it because it has that extra padded piece of neoprene on the inside, and it really locks your wrist in really well because of the actual the size of this strap really locks it in. So you get a really nice locked in feel. Now you can see the actual size of the glove, again, is medium. It doesn't drop down too far down your hand. And again, if you want something a little bit more compact, thankfully they make these in smaller sizes. Or if you want something a little bit bigger because you're a bigger person, just have larger hands, you can go that route as well. So comfort-wise, they feel really good. I feel they're super comfortable, had no issues with any pressure points, and overall feel really nice. Now performance-wise, these use a multi-layer, 3-layer foam. Just showing you guys real close. It has a medium density right here. They're very protective, but they give you a nice crack and good feedback. You know, there's so many different gloves out now that are very similar. A lot of gloves that are made in Pakistan that might use, you know, similar or the same manufacturers. And this padding in here with this multi-layer foam, maybe they incorporate some kind of latex inside there and high density or low density foams to kind of give it the feel. But these are right in the middle. I would say they're really balanced in terms of the feedback and the actual protection. So again, this is kind of right there in the middle. I would say that these are kind of like right along there with like the Sabas Pro Series in terms of feel. You know, if you guys have had a pair of Pro Series and when you hit that bag, that's the kind of feel that you get with these gloves. You get a good crack, a satisfying crack out of these gloves, but it doesn't really hurt your knuckles either. You get the protection that you're looking for as well. So I would say that this foam that they use in here is balanced. I always like this multi-layer foam over injected molded foam because there's really not much of a break-in period, where IMF typically is super stiff right out of the bag. You have a hard time opening your hands up because of how stiff the foam is over your hand. With these multi-layer, you get that nice flexibility out of it, and you get that broken in feel right off the bat. Now, cost-wise, these gloves are 169 Canadian dollars. For those of you that live here in the States, that rounds out to be about 125 to 127 US dollars, just depending on the currency exchange rate at that time. But for the price, a really nice pair of gloves. For that price, you know, anywhere between that $100 to $120 marks, where you really see some of the high, you know, the gloves that have a lot of the high-end features, kind of at the middle of the road price. So these gloves to me fall right along with some of the Infinitude gloves that I've tried on, some of the Sabas Pro Series, in terms of the quality and the feel of this glove. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys put them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box on where you can find these XOB fighting gear gloves. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.